How can we create opportunities for other people that maybe don't have opportunities or know how to find opportunities? And then how do we have a great impact for the end user?
If you see someone who looks like you doing something, you're like, oh, well, maybe I can do that too.
For us, design really is a holistic approach to life problems.
Here we are, Location Luxe. I'm your host, Alan Canas, and here in Season 1, we'll be focused on what we're calling the Great Lifestyle Migration. On each episode, I'll be right here in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Over the last few decades, we've witnessed a great migration for employment and technology development. As such, the need and demand for homes has been among the highest in the country. These migration choices are giving people an extraordinary opportunity to explore new locations, amenities, and lifestyle options. And that's why we're here. Location Luxe. This week, we are going south of the border, where we are meeting my friend, Nick Fong, who is a top real estate agent in guess where? Baja, Mexico. Nick, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Alan, it's my pleasure. Why aren't you down here in Cabo with me?
You must tell us a little bit about you, who you are, your business, and where are you right now?
Literally, I'm sitting in the house of one of my clients in a gated community called Pedregal. It's located on the Pacific Ocean, and Cabo San Lucas is privileged because we're at the tip of the Baja Peninsula. And for those of you that don't know, it's 1,000 miles south of San Diego, the Mexico-US border. And about me, I'm originally from Chicago. I have real estate, kind of a background. I studied real estate finance at the University of Illinois. Long story short, 20 years ago, I came on vacation. I met my wife, Rocio here, and fast forward a couple years of dating, we got married, and I've been here almost 17 years now.
Wow, 17 years. That's a long time. So Nick, tell us a little bit about the healthy lifestyle that you have there and that people can enjoy.
The weather here, for example, Alan, is all sunshine all year round. We probably have 330 days of sunshine a year. And so we actually welcome when it's cloudy. We welcome when it's raining. And as a result of that great weather, we have a lot of outdoor activities. And so when you're in a house like this one, Casa Vista Alegria, you're drawn to the outdoor areas. And so from a livability standpoint, things like going out on your mountain bike, going for a hike in the mountains, going in a boat, going deep sea fishing. I don't know if you knew this, Alan, but the largest bill fishing tournament in the world is held here in Cabo San Lucas every year in October. And so that's just an example of the lifestyle that you get here. And also, because we're really built around tourism, people are coming here to enjoy life, to have a good time, to go on vacation. And so we have resorts, we have amenities, we have restaurants that is really geared around having and getting the most out of life. And so when you talk about lifestyle, you really can't do much better than here in the Baja.
It sounds like it. That is a lead into, let's talk about your seasonal activities that go on in the Baja.
Yeah, so seasonally speaking, we typically look at it from two standpoints, our high season and low season. When it's cold back up in the States or in Canada, where most of our clients come from, that's our high season. And then our low season is the summer months, so when it's nicer weather back up in the States or in Canada. But the area of Cabo, the Baja Sur, is really an all year round destination. So there, in terms of seasonality, there's always people here, there's always activities to be had. As I mentioned earlier, there's the largest billfish tournament, the Bisbee, held in October. That really is the start of a lot of activities for us. Sammy Hagar's famous Cabo Wabo restaurant and bar is down here, and his birthday is, interestingly enough, also in October. And so that gets going. Our holidays, American and Mexican holidays, are real popular. So when we talk about the seasonality of our locations here in the Baja, whether it's Cabo San Lucas or the capital of our state, La Paz, and everything else in between, Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, spring break, can't forget about spring break. Those tend to be the times of the season that we're most trafficked in the Baja.
My daughter's birthday is in October, so I think we have to make a Hagar trip down there. I think that would be a good excuse.
Alan, yes, or sooner. You can come down sooner.
So how easy is it to access flights and to be able to get in and out of Baja?
You know, Alan, that's one of the things that the Mexico tourism, the resorts have done very well. They have made it very easy for the foreign traveler. It's weird to talk about myself as a foreigner, American, but we're foreigners as Americans in the Baja, Cabo, in Mexico. And we have direct flights, dozens of direct flights from the States every single day, and common areas of hubs that fly in directly: Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, where I'm from, Seattle, Vancouver. So there are a lot of airports in the States, New York, that fly direct into here at Cabo.
Nick, can you please tell us about the tax structures, that the tax savings that people can have when going to Baja?
Wow, so this is where you're gonna flip, Alan. So where I'm coming from in Chicago, Cook County, right, where you could pay over 2% of your property value in annual real estate taxes. Take a guess, Alan. What, as a percentage of the property value, we pay in annual real estate taxes?
I'm going to say you pay a flat fee.
A flat fee. Okay. So it's not a flat fee. It is a percentage of the property value, but it's 0.1% of the property value. So that $1 million home we sell to our client, they're paying on average $1,000 a year in annual property taxes.
Wow. And income tax?
Yeah. So I took your breath away with the low real estate taxes. In terms of income taxes, the income taxes for most employees, the employers pay the taxes for their employees so that they don't file taxes. But if you're a business owner or if you're a sole proprietor, the tax rate is on average about 35% of your wage earnings is what you pay in taxes.
So we just bought a second home in Tahoe. We should have bought it in Baja.
Well, yeah, I mean, the good thing is, like, the income taxes on income earned in Mexico if you're working here is not much different than if you were back in the States. But most of our clients aren't working here. They are retired or they're continuing running their businesses or their work back in the States or
Yeah,
Canada.
Gotcha. Nick, could you please tell us a little bit about your culture? I'm going to put this into a two-part question. First is regarding your schools and what's going on with the schools there, because you do have younger families that are moving into the area and relocating, and people don't think about that when they think of Baja.
No, Alan, I certainly didn't think about that when I first came to the Baja and moved here as a single person, now married with kids. It's a topic that not only myself, but many of our clients are asking us. And so fortunately, the area has many school options. Private schools, bilingual, both in English and in Spanish. So what's amazing is the kids in the Cabo area, up and along the Baja, in these private schools, they're learning English and Spanish.
Wow, that's good to know. And the second part of the culture question is your restaurants and your downtown and the other types of activities that you have going on in Baja.
Yeah, you know, Baja is the whole state, right? Baja Sur, and I'm located in Cabo San Lucas. Cabo San Lucas is the epicenter of tourism. It's the destination with the arch. The restaurants and the activities, the culture, we have a huge cultural center right on the marina of Cabo San Lucas. Restaurants up and along the marina. There's nightlife, bars, a lot of fun activities. Because it's around the marina, there's the fishing boats, the sunset tours. You can go scuba diving, snorkeling off of the marina, and it connects to our most famous beach, Medano Beach, which is where the majority of our hotel and resorts sit also.
It really makes me want to come there right now for a visit. I'm ready. Please tell everyone about the areas you represent. Is it just Baja?
Yeah, so the areas that we represent is all along Baja Sur, so the southern Baja. And so where I'm located right now in Cabo San Lucas at the tip of the peninsula, the southern tip, we go geographically about 7 hours driving or 400 miles north to Loreto. And then on the other side of the peninsula, on the Pacific side, which is just over my shoulder, we'll go up another few hours by car. And so our geo farm is such that we probably cover several hundreds of square miles. And we can only do that because we have several offices located throughout the state.
And Nick, please share with us what you're seeing in the housing market. Are you seeing multiple offers, new developments? What are you seeing in the housing market today?
All the above. I literally was on a coaching call with one of my agents this morning where she's working with 2 clients wanting to make offers on the same property today. And so it's not like what it is in the States in the current market where every property is getting multiple offers and overbidding on the list price. But it's important for you, Alan, and the viewers to understand that we do mimic the US real estate markets. And in my experience being down here, we're delayed by 6 to 12 months. And so what you were seeing a year ago, we're just starting to see now. And it's, so it's interesting because if you've ever seen that movie Back to the Future, Back to the Future 2, it's literally I have a DeLorean and I can go back into the past and have the playbook as to what's going to happen here. And so a lot of new development, prices are on the upswing. We are running out of inventory. I was just on another call this morning with another one of my agents, and he said multiple buyer clients, he just can't find the inventory to satisfy what they're looking for.
And what conditions can a buyer expect to find? Are they renovated as is? What are they expecting when they come to Baja?
Most of it, Alan, is newer construction, less than 10 years old, or even pre-construction. But there are some cases, like the house I'm currently in, that's a 20-year-old or more home that, in fact, we just got this house under contract. And the way we got it under contract is we did renderings and we were able to show the consumer what it could be. Basically a house in the 2020s, right? Not in the 1990s. And so the far majority, though, of our inventory is less than 10 years old. And a lot of that is pre-construction.
Nick, could you please explain to us what we could see as far as price points?
Yeah, so the good thing is, in terms of price points, we cater to the $50,000 lot buyer or the $150,000 condo buyer upwards of a $20 million oceanfront home. And so the majority, though, Alan, of our buyers are in and around the $500,000 price point. The average right now of houses that have gone under contract or closed in this year have been just under $1 million. That's our average house sale. And our average condo sale is over $600,000. But don't let that scare the viewers that are saying, well, I have a $300,000 budget, because we deal a lot with those type of buyers and that only want to spend a few $100,000, whether it's a house or condo with an ocean view.
I think $600,000 is well within my budget.
Okay. So we'll see you in October for your daughter's birthday.
Nick, could you please tell us a little bit about the secondary home market, the VRBOs, the Airbnbs? How is that? And then I understand that you also have a play in that as well.
Yeah, not unlike what's going on in the rest of the world. The vacation rental by owner, whether it's an Airbnb or a VRBO platform, it is super popular. I would say 50% of our buyers right now in the market are looking to buy something when they're not using it themselves. They're able to rent it on a vacation basis. And so the market is extremely hot for that kind of property, whether it's a house or a condo. And it is really fueling the growth of the area. When I was mentioning a lot of new construction projects, a lot of that is to address that demand in the market.
Nick, can you talk a little bit about what a buyer can find in appreciation over year after year?
So what we have seen in our market, fortunately, in the last few years, appreciation probably in the double-digit percentages, over 10%. Historically, from what I've seen, is somewhere between 3 to 5% appreciation in the time that I've been here. But not unlike in the States, where appreciation is incredible, the same thing is happening here in the Baja, Cabo San Lucas, and surrounding areas. And just going back to what I was mentioning earlier, we mimic the US real estate market. So if you were ever wondering what's happening down here in the Baja, just look in your backyard. And if it's not happening down here yet, it will in the next 12 months.
I'm expecting in the next 12 months for you to hit 28% appreciation, because that's what we hit first quarter. 2021.
Oh my gosh. Well, my buyers this quarter are going to be super happy with that, for sure.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Location Luxe.
Thanks, Alan. And I'm going to hold you to it. See you in Cabo soon.
I will be there. You can count on it.
All right. Bye for now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Design TV. I am Shannon Sharp, Luxe Interiors Design Home Editor. And today I'm so excited to be speaking to Anita Lang, founder and owner of IMI Design Studio, which is based in Scottsdale, but they do work all over the world. And today she is giving us a sneak peek into a gorgeous Paradise Valley home that was actually on the cover of our November-December issue. And so hopefully many of you got to see the cover, but if you haven't, you're gonna get to see the entire home today. So Anita, welcome. It is so good to see you.
Thank you, Shannon. It's great to see you too. And thank you for inviting me to speak about this home. I love design, so it's easy to speak about this. And thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, and we are so honored to have you here. And I am especially excited to talk to you about this home, which you designed with architect Mark Candelaria, builder John Schultz, and the landscape architect was Gree Pickett. And I know the homeowners, when they approached you, they were coming from a very traditional hacienda style home. And they were like, we want something completely different. And what did they bring to the table with you? Were there any certain requests?
Yeah, that's exactly true. They came from a very Southwestern traditional home and then wanted to go different, and they said modern. And so we know that modern covers a lot of different aesthetics within the design world. So we went deep to understand what modern meant for them. For me, it can mean anything from international style to Baja, and how do they feel it is modern? So we went into a study to understand what they were comfortable with. And what I really found is that they did want clean, simple lines. They still wanted something that had some classical references. So almost a little bit more transitional. Right. So understanding that about them helped me understand what the home then needed to be. And then the other thing that was really a philosophy for this house was to make it classic and timeless. So one of the kind of the guiding mantras for the home is that simplicity is luxury. So for us, it was really a study about editing. So I would come up with a plethora of ideas and then kind of come back to what are the bare essence of what we want that house to feel like.
Right. And I feel like when you say simplicity is luxury, I think that you do, part of how you embrace that kind of concept is this home and so many of your homes, I feel like materials are such a central part of your design. I would think you would agree, and I would love, because there's so many fascinating materials that were used here, and I would love to speak to what was used in different rooms.
Yeah, you are right on with that, Shannon. Like, I love materials, and really for me as a designer, and every designer has a little different way of approaching a project. For me, it's about the structure first,
right? Understanding
the interior architecture, how we're going to sculpt massing within the home and define spaces. And really, for me, the structure needs to look absolutely beautiful and evoke emotion already before we even put a stitch of furnishings in it. And to that end goal is materials. Like, that is such an important part of finding materials that are authentic, that create the right mood that you want in the space. So I spend a lot of time with materials and a lot about the way they'll play together, and then how they start and stop and transition, and how they're really sculpting our space. So with this home, it was a really important part. And what was cute about this client is they really had an affinity for grays. However, anything that had a little bit of a yellowish tone to it was like repulsive to the gentleman. So it was really tricky to find something really strong for them. So my solution for that was using the walnut that you notice in the house and this really rich wood. Yeah. So I could give them what they needed in these gray tones that resonate with them, and the house still feels warm and has like a nice overall ambient glow to it, even though there is a strong gray and dark black palette. The other thing that I really was careful about when I was thinking about materials, because the home is so large and you have that big great room, is how do you find things that are the appropriate scale? So I did a leathered Indian black granite on the floors in 24 by 60-inch pieces. So now right away, the scale feels more appropriate there. And just was really careful about how we were going to use strong materials, but then also add texture with that in the wood, and then some of the other masonry stone that was used in the house, like that one curved wall that Mark did, which is kind of a signature for the house. It's like this, you know, everything's very linear in that house, very horizontal. And then we have this sweeping, big curved wall that's like 2+ stories. And we did opal schist, which is this beautiful masonry, almost like tumbled looking stone for the texture against the granite floors. So that
I think that what was interesting that I loved so much about that big, because it could be overwhelming if you hadn't used the right textures. And quite honestly, I feel like the right art. You have this beautiful fiber sculpture hanging there, and I like some ceramic pieces at the end, and I feel like that really added a warmth that that made the space feel not overwhelming. And speaking to, you know, what your clients want, as we talked about, they were coming from a very traditional home, and I know that they wanted modern, but were there any risks that you took where they were like, I don't know if we can handle this?
Yeah, for sure. I think they were a little, you know, tentative on some of the choices I made. And sometimes I think I toned it down a little bit so I would make sure that it was comfortable for them, but
Right.
could push that envelope as much as possible and would feel appropriate for that situation. You know, I was really glad that they did embrace the wood, and it's a deep, rich color. So I think that was a little bit like, you know, trust me on this, it's going to be amazing. And everybody does love it in the end.
Right.
Without that, that house would have felt so different if we didn't have the warmth of the wood, which then I pulled into those pieces. I don't know if you remember in the great room,
Yes.
there's beautiful, I think it's a sapelli wood then at that point, which has the same tone as the walnut ceiling, those
Mhm.
holly hunt chairs that are overscaled and just really anchor the warmth of that wood. And in that case, like the wood is the accent in that setting.
Mhm.
And the other thing with homes often like this that we're working on is understanding the scale that is needed, right? So saying, no, you need a coffee table that's bigger than a king size bed almost, right? I know this seems odd, but you really need it for the space, which
Yeah.
works so well. So I did that custom coffee table in the great room as well. And I think that piece was, I know, every bit of 6.5 feet long. So that's a, you know, at that point you could really sleep on it or dance on it or whatever is necessary.
I think dancing on it is the best idea. And with such a large home, then scale is so important to get it right. And another thing that I'd say is very prevalent to Arizona, and you know, other, and I'm sure you see this because you work all over the world, but in you know, climates that you know, you're going to have sunshine 360 days of the year. The surrounding environment plays a really important role in design. And I'd love to talk to you about what role that played when you were designing this home.
Absolutely. I mean, it is always important to think about the vernacular of any project, right? Like, and granted, if you're in more of a metropolitan area, you know, you're not maybe relating to what the natural elements are around you as much, but there's still always needs to be a nod of where you're at.
Right.
And in this home, especially so because it's built on the mountainside. And what I loved about what Mark did with this is how he's a master at just using the views at their, you know, supreme possibilities.
Right.
And what was interesting with this house, because it was up against the mountainside, on the south side of the house, you'd have this expansive view that like looks across the whole valley. And then on the north side of the house, you're built up close to the mountainside. So the cleft of the stone is having another relationship with the house, which I think is very intimate. And it created a whole nother way of entertaining guests and enjoying that space.
Right.
So when you're thinking about that, you know, one is just even how we embrace the furniture settings for those areas. The other is again about materiality. How does the materials we're choosing, and even though we did do a grayer palette, by the time we started working up towards the mountainside, it felt really good with the stone that's the natural cleft of the mountain.
Yeah, that's
And
absolutely
yeah,
great.
it just gives you different feels. And then like little subtleties, because this is still a desert home. You don't usually think of such a deep gray palette with a desert home, but then we had little nods to it, even in like the botanicals that we used. There's like references to the ocotillo plants and that, so that it does feel like it belongs in this space.
Right. Or even like the dining room where you can look out on that,
Yeah.
courtyard garden area, and just that interaction you're having when you're just even enjoying a meal.
100%. Those doors pocket back, and it's like al fresco dining, but a little bit more, easy to manage. But
Right.
that corner window pockets back, and there's the fountain right there, and the courtyard in the cleft of that mountain. It is really a nice experience.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. This home is stunning. I'm so excited for people to get a inside peek here on Design TV, and I can't wait to see the newest things. I know that you are busy, as is so many designers right now. So I cannot wait to see the future projects you're working on. And I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Design TV watchers, and welcome. Thank you for tuning into this very special Collab Lab discussion. My name is Sarah Shelton, and I am the market editor at Luxe Interiors and Design. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Cecil Adams, Vice President and Creative Director at Curry & Company, and all-around creative and design extraordinaire, Aviva Stanoff. Hello to you both and welcome. So we're going to dive into Aviva's stunning new lighting collection and also celebrate the successful design relationship she has with Curry. But first, I'd love to give you both a moment to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and exactly what it is that you do. So ladies first, Aviva, let's start with you.
Thank you so much. Number one, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be part of the community. I am anchored by education as a textile designer, and I started on couture runway shows doing exotics for runway finale pieces and red carpet pieces. I took those tendencies and brought them into home about 10 years into my decade. I left fashion and went to home because I love celebrating connectivity, cozy gathering, and creating sacred spaces for wellness. Along the way, I started to do home accessories, which were pillows, throws, and now, of course, we're going into other product categories, and that occurred when Brownlee Curry walked into my showroom one day and said, "It's this." So we specialize in exotics. I celebrate a deliberate luxury. We celebrate the beauty of imperfection. And I've been practicing that as a means to manifest connectivity between myself and my clients and my consumers for the last, my entire career. It's a deliberate luxury that we celebrate.
Cecil, over to you. How long have you been at Curry now?
I've been at Curry over 15 years. And I have known Robert Curry, the founder of the company, and his wife, Susie, since the early 90s, when I worked for a custom upholstery company that was a customer of Curry & Company. And so 15 years ago, Robert called me, and I came through visual merchandising. So I worked in department stores, and like Aviva, I have a love of fashion and textiles. And so I think we have that in common, definitely. And Robert Curry called me and said, "Will you come and help us work on building the brand and reinventing our showrooms, et cetera, et cetera." And so that is what I have been up to, along with working with the design team and product development for 15 years now.
Awesome. Well, we're huge fans of everything you guys are doing over there. So Aviva, let's get right to these lighting pieces. That's why we're here, because they are phenomenal. They are very stunning, and they're evocative of the ocean and of nature. And I read somewhere that you jokingly said that you're a 12% mermaid. And as someone who identifies as a mermaid as well, I am even more into this collection than I already was. Why was the ocean and the beach such an inspiration for you this time around? And how did you integrate that inspiration into this fantastic collection?
Thank you for the compliment. I'm glad to be speaking to a sister mermaid. It's really in my DNA. I grew up on 24 acres of old growth redwoods in Northern California, a jump away from the ocean. So the forest and the ocean, it was where the coastline came together with the cliffs. And I've always resonated and been influenced by the beauty of nature and the sea living together. This collection might just celebrate all those things and years of going surfing in the afternoons and coming home to the woods. And there's something very majestic about the sea, as well as, old growth redwoods, which are like the largest beings, the tallest, most stoic beings on the planet. And something about that just never left me. I've been celebrating these gorgeous aspects of strength and resilience and cyclical, the tides and the way everything harmoniously works together on the planet, though in different elements, earth and water, probably my whole career. So it was a wonderful opportunity to manifest that with Curry, because they really get me.
I love that. No, and I'm looking at, on my desktop, I'm looking at the other pieces you've designed for Curry, and they integrate so beautifully with what you've already collaborated with them on. And I have to say that, the First Light, which everyone knows and loves, is like an industry favorite, a top seller. And a little birdie told me that it's been in like 5 show houses, which is just incredible. And I have a feeling that these new pieces, like this sea fan piece, like all of that, I think they're in line to be just as popular as the good old Forest Light. But how did when you design these, did you in your mind, did you think how they could live with the existing pieces you already had?
For me, it's a process of just celebrating what's in my spirit. Lucky for me, those things in my spirit have continuity only because they're pillars in my the way I see the aesthetics around me. I grew up in a Buddhist temple. In the summertime, we would summer in Japan in a temple, and the rest of the year I lived in the forest next to the sea. So for me, I knew that whatever I celebrated, whether it was the sea corals or the eucalyptus or the palm leaves, that tribal luxe vibe and how I present it, it always goes together because it's in my spirit together. It's always going to be okay.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. When you design from within like that, it's always going to be okay.
Yeah. Can't go wrong.
So Cecil, you clearly lucked out with this design collaboration. Aviva is such a superstar, and you guys have such an impressive roster of design collaborators at Curry. And I'm just curious, like, what is it that you look for in a design collaboration? How do you go about, there's so many designers out there, so many points of view, like what's the magic, the secret ingredient?
Well, I think we're very open to lots of opportunities to work with folks. And as Aviva would say, we really want people who we're gonna vibe together with really well. And so we're really looking to extend our family in a way. And we're very fortunate that a lot of moths are attracted to our flame. So, we get lots of requests to collaborate. And we really consider a couple of things for me in particular. One is, what is this bringing to the party? We have our own, group core of designers on staff. So we already have 4 very strong designers who are seasoned and, doing a lot of wonderful things for us. And so I'm thinking, well, what will this bring to them? Will this challenge them? Will this get us to see things in a different way? As Aviva said, Brownlee met her at a show, and he called me and said, I was not at the show. And he said, I met this lady, her name's Aviva Stanoff. I think she's really kind of kooky and cool, and we ought to do something with her. And I said, well, I'm I do know who she is because of her shop at ABC Carpet and her textiles and all of that. And I was like, sure, let's invite her in and see, what we can do. And so the funny thing that I say, and Aviva has heard me say this, is, Aviva's really about materials and her spirit and things that vibrate with her that she wants to celebrate. And we had a really good kind of the first meeting. Aviva brought what I call her box of rocks, which is really, some very special rocks and things that she's picked up and collected that are, she's feeling. So she came to the meeting with all those things, and we sat down with the designers and put together the first collection in 2016. And the Forest Light chandelier came out of that collection. And it was also a good moment in time because minerals were on trend, and we had been to a couple places in China looking at minerals. We'd been out to Arizona to that big mineral show, and we were trying to figure out how to bring that together. And at that moment, Aviva came in the door, and it was like, oh, okay, this is how we're going to do that. And so here we are.
Here we are. Wow, you guys really just came out of the gate so strong with that first collection. I'm interested to know so you guys have the magic connection. You guys are vibing. What is it like to design? I know, especially this year when we were also remote and virtual, how are you guys communicating to come up with these pieces?
We were fortunate. This collection, this new one, is really all made in our factory in the Philippines. And so we were doing it in one place, which behooved us. I think it really helped us to bring it to market. And then a lot of communication with Aviva through our design team, and in particular, Ian Thornton, who is one of our lighting designers, that we were like, okay, let's not have everyone chatting with Aviva all the time. She's got other stuff going on. Let's have one person, and then, we would reconvene and did it. We've done everything, digital, virtually.
Right. It's incredible that we're able to do that in this day and age. And Aviva, what were you just like sketching or sending scribbles to the design team? Like how does your creative process look?
Yes, higher process is scribbles and crystals for sure.
Scribbles and crystals. That's a great tagline.
And a little eyeshadow and lip gloss. But I think that was very serendipitous was, I believe we started the conversation in one of our very last meetings. Was we all sat down together at Curry's offices, and it was a very early initial, like, here's my inspiration, kind of moment. And then everything happened digitally and remotely from that moment on.
I know you mentioned it earlier in your intro, how you started in textiles, but I'd love to know the similarities and the differences between designing, very textile focused and also with lighting.
For me, though textiles are my anchor and I have an MFA in applied textile design, for me, product design and my paints, it really doesn't matter if my paints are fabric and dye or crystals and form or wood. And, it really doesn't matter if you give me a project and it has to be wallpaper or lighting or floor treatments or bedding. It's just all a canvas for me. It's just, as an artist, you have to just change your palette, and that's what makes it very fun.
That's a really great analogy, the artist and the paint and the different, tools that you have. Cecil, I know you mentioned when you guys were first collaborating in 2016 that, minerals and stones were on the rise. And what are you seeing gaining popularity, and what should we be keeping an eye out for in the market?
Well, I think one of the things that this new collection with Aviva does beautifully is, well, one, it expresses a lot of her core inspiration. And I think with the whole idea of reconnecting with nature and how important nature is to us as human beings, that we're a part of nature. So I think bringing those things into our interiors in whatever way or whatever form are going to continue to be really important. The other thing is also, I think that luxury materials like a chagrin or a beautiful crystal or gold leaf element, something soft like velvet or mohair or on a sofa. I think comfort is a huge, huge thing, and how we interpret that in the future is going to continue to be really important. Those are all the things kind of that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting. I almost want to think of those not as trends, but as like lifestyle shifts. You know, like we want to be comfortable, we want to be inspired by nature and live with nature, not apart from it. So for both of you can answer like, what's next for you, or what's something that you would like to manifest?
Creating sacred spaces with product, not just functioning beautiful forms, that things might be gentle reminders to take care of oneself, and to gather and connect in an intentional manner is really important. And for me, I'd like to continue to try to do that with more intention with other people in my community, encourage them to do the same. And of course, philanthropic types of activations layered into bringing products to market has always been something that has been in the background, and I'd like to bring that to the forefront as well.
Cecil?
Well, and I think certainly my vision for the future, and I think it's shared with our group at Curry, is along the lines of Aviva's. How can we continue to build these partnerships that we have all over, you know, in different parts of the planet, and how can we be sensitive to the things we're making and sustainability and the things that we're putting out there. And I think we want to continue to evolve as an organization. And obviously, you know, our goal is to delight our customers and delight our designers. And I think we need to, you know, just keep on the path of doing that and keep it in mind and not forget, because I think we have an opportunity to stitch a new garment now and not just go back to the way things were before. And so my goal is to keep that in mind and to help others keep that in mind as well.
Oh, fabulous. Well, thank you guys both so much. I feel like as we're now, you know, we're coming out of the cocoon, we're reemerging, we're getting back into showrooms and trade shows. I think these are great takeaways to keep in mind as, you know, we really are starting this, you know, next chapter. You know, we're weaving a new fabric, Cecil. So a lot to think about, a lot to noodle on. Thank you guys for sharing. And we can't wait to see what's next. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design, and today I'm catching up with two top talents, and good friends by the way, who design everything from residential to hospitality. And we're going to talk about designing mindfully and how material choices really do impact wellness and sustainability. Another friend joining us on this conversation is from StoneSource, a resource these designers know and love and have specified from for decades. Oh, and later we're going to reveal a new product and get their take on it. All right, this is going to be fun. We have from the East Coast, my dear friend and a one-of-a-kind talent, Shamir Shah. Hi, honey, how are you?
Hey, Cindy, so nice to see you. How are you?
It's great to see you too. Then we head over to the West Coast to another great pal and a super talent, Jennifer Johansson. She's the CEO and president of EDG Interior Architecture and Design. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Cindy. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
And then we have Ron Solano, Vice President, Product Development and Procurement of StoneSource. Hi, Ron.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I'm so glad you guys are such a group. I can tell already I'm in big trouble. All right, Jennifer, we're going to start with you because you've had an illustrious career. It's always been about like big hospitality because EDG is a giant firm. But hospitality is all about the experience and those kind of personal touches that make a big impact. And I know that even in your own offices, you've been using stone to have a graphic element.
That's right. Tile, we're mostly a hospitality firm that specializes in food and beverage. So full hotels, food and beverage is a strong core of ours. So always looking for cool surfaces that can withstand the abuse that a restaurant puts on it is something that we're looking for. And of course, speaking of abuse, we put it to test in our own kitchen at our studio.
I saw that.
And that was super fun. We were looking for a pop of color and used, not because I'm from Texas, but we did use the Tex product, the hexagonal product there, and got a pop of color and a lot of fun. And all our clients see it. And, you know, we're always looking for color in our ways to differentiate our projects from each other. And, you know, every now and then we get a project that wants to be sort of modern and clean and minimalist, but usually we're looking for something with more character, something to really telegraph a story and a narrative. And Stone Source has just such a wide range of products that help us out with that. It's really great.
Yeah, and Shamir, so you know what's really great, because I published you all, and the work definitely has different viewpoints. Shamir, you've been known for a big portion of your career for like super sophisticated residential work, and then it's grown, and now you have a reputation for this whole residential development, which is more commercial and kind of hospitality driven, and it creates its own set of challenges, hasn't it?
It definitely does, Cindy. You know, you've taken us down a sort of a little bit of history here, but we've been working with Stone Source for sourcing product for about 3 decades now, and we have seen the shift away. I shouldn't say it's a shift away, because we continue to do the private residential work, but while we're doing that, yeah, we have been called on to do larger development projects, and it's gratifying in that you're producing. It's the closest we will come to producing mass market housing, which is really appealing to us. But also, you know, you're now producing work for a much wider audience and have to scale back on the palette a little bit, but still produce a product that is, you know, appealing and current and has like a wide appeal. And yeah, they're two different categories with what one would think is a very has a lot of crossover in the work that we do between the two.
Yeah, well, you know, residential so intimate, right? And then you're going into something much bigger where people are experiencing in a similar way to hospitality, but you don't know those people.
Exactly right. Yeah. So we're doing sort of public spaces that have, you know, a much wider appeal, and then we're taking them into their own homes. The difference being that we're not talking about people's, you know, personal living style anymore, because we're dealing with a wider audience and has to have a wider sort of appeal. So yeah, they're very different in that regard. There's no one client we're dealing with anymore, and it's the hypothetical client that we're doing, you know, 50 or 100 apartments for. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. And Ron, I imagine that it is, look, there are a lot of challenges, and you're always trying to figure out a puzzle with designers like Jennifer and Shamir, but it's also like a big honor too, because right, they're imagining things that you're making come to life.
Yeah, it's probably the most fun, obviously, that we have. And for me, I'm always a little bit behind the scenes. So while I know everybody, right, and you hear the names, right, it's like, I'm kind of like making sure we put all the stitches together. But yeah, I mean, listen, the wonderful, wonderful projects, they work really well with us, and you know, again, honored to be involved and continue to grow our relationships. Yeah.
I want to, just for the viewers out there, I'd love to do like a little tour of some of your faves and your latest projects, Jennifer and Shamir. So I'm gonna name them, and then you just give me a tidbit or two, and we'll kind of go back and forth a little, just so everyone gets to know you. All right, so Jennifer, we're heading to LA. I know you just recently finished the Viceroy in LA, which is a big project, huh?
Well, it was really cool. I mean, I told you guys, it was when we first started the project, we said, wow, this is a little intimidating. It's a classic Kelly Wearstler design, first kind of outdoor living room kind of hotel that really changed the scene and set the tone for that whole Hollywood Regency style she was exploring at that time. And we all loved it. It was influential to us. So whenever you get called in to renovate a project like that, you're just a little bit humbled. Like, how do we start? How do we reinvent this thing? And we didn't want to just redecorate it. You know, we wanted to really reinvent it at its core. And we came up with a persona that was the grandson of the original matron of the Viceroy. And she had handed the keys to him, and he brought in his next gen philosophy and his style, and sort of deconstructed it and took it apart a little bit. And there's some residue of the former design. Like we left the bathrooms completely as is, sort of like a time capsule, which have these amazing tiles. But it was a really fun project. It was fun to look at what Santa Monica's done in the last 20 years and how to reflect that in the design, and excited to share it with you guys.
Yeah, and you used some beautiful slabs, didn't you?
Oh yeah, beautiful slabs and some really great sort of encaustic looking tiles that have fun colors that reflect sort of the, you know, multicultural heritage of LA, and along with really amazing mural graphics. So we needed the tile to kind of, you know, just keep up the pace with the color we were trying to interject. So that was a really, really fun project.
Yeah, I know you're shooting it shortly, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share with you.
Shamir, in terms of your residential work, I think, like, I always think of the kitchen and the bath and those bathrooms and the stone. Like you really are like a stone addict, right?
We love stone, and we've been using stone, you know, for 3 decades now. We've been doing this, and it's a really wonderful process because we start out with an idea for where we want to go with the project, but ultimately we end up with the client at stone yards, picking the individual blocks of stone that make these projects really exciting. We've done some fairly extreme things with Stone Source. We were doing a project for Excel, and starting work on a sales office. And we went out to the yard here in New York and went through about 200 or 250 slabs of travertine to find the right product for, you know, the project we were working on. And, you know, it's always great fun to get out and actually pick the stone when we get there.
Yeah, I've seen some book match projects that are just like jaw-dropping.
And the great thing about working with a firm like this is that they are also able to customize for us. So where we might see something that we like, but we want to add another layer of finesse to the project, Stone Source has gone and changed textures for us on the face of stone. So, you know, they'll bush hammer a project or a surface or brush a project for us to get the right look that we were looking for at the time. And yeah, it's always, yeah, it's a nice way to do these projects.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, we have a few more. So Jennifer, I saw some great pictures of Clancy in San Francisco, and talk about graphic and fun and sculptural.
Yes, that was a really fun project because it's probably a little different on the price point of going out and finding book match slabs, converting a courtyard merit to an autograph Clancy. But we wanted to infuse as much personality and exuberance and style as we could and really reflect that eclectic character of San Francisco. And that's where all the great textures of Stone Source really helped us. We had these customized concrete panels made that covered these huge walls. We had to kind of wedge our design in between. And so we came up with this idea of the back alleys of San Francisco, which is where really all the cool stuff happens. And the bar is kind of wedged in between these concrete pylons, and it sort of explores that notion of the back alley. And one is covered with this beautiful brick, and one's covered with the concrete, and then the tile sort of floats in between. And using their textured ribbed tiles in these fun poppy colors really helped really make that stand out. In the coffee concept, we used the puzzle tiles that are really fun and very graphic. And so we're really excited about that project. I mean, it opened in September in COVID, so it's really hasn't been revealed yet to the world. So we're excited to share that. And
yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Shamir, let's talk about 72 Madison, where I know there were a whole other set of challenges with working with the developer, even in terms of budget and how you resolved that.
Yeah, that was an interesting solution for that project. So we were working on a subterranean pool with no natural light, and it was a difficult space to work in, exactly for that reason. We started out working with a stone that we really wanted to use on the project, which they carry these beautiful slabs of what they call zebra gray limestone. But we found that it was going to be unaffordable for the entire, to clad the entire pool in this stuff. We have the pool of the project looks into a yoga studio and a gym, and we were carrying this material through the different spaces in this sub-cellar on Madison Avenue. So what we did is we paired this fairly expensive limestone with another product from them, which was a split face limestone at a much lower price point in smaller format, and then used the zebra gray limestone on the piers, and then washed the walls of the split face limestone with light between these piers, and it came to life, and it worked beautifully, and it was a great way to get some of the higher end material into the project and still keep part of our vision sort of alive there.
And you wouldn't know, like, you see that that pool, it is absolutely stunning. You're so clever to figure out a way, and you sort of like keep it from the developer too, right? You're like, we got this.
Yeah, it really worked well, and the interesting thing about that project was that we started out showing him these baths in Les Vals in Switzerland, and the idea was that we would work with a very low light level in that project because we didn't have any natural light, and rather than trying to flood the spaces with artificial light, we kind of went with a sort of dark, moody feel, and it worked quite beautifully. It's a very restful, calming space to get away from the streets of New York, and so we were happy with the outcome.
Yeah, and that's also like when we think about wellness, and it's so wonderful to see these projects where they're incorporating, pools and spas, and you're able to also skin it in a way that makes it feel very high end. I know that Jennifer, I know this project really well, the Andaz in Scottsdale, because we did a whole conference at the Andaz there, which was amazing. And you have this like really nice, it might be a little bit of a West Coast hand, but also this just like very natural vibe, very nature inspired, and you see it in the Andaz. And I know you did a spa there too, at the Palo Verde, right?
The Palo Verde spa was one of the more fun Stone Source projects we used. Ron, you have to help me with the name of it. I can't remember, but it's a large format tile that looks like little hatch marks all over the floor, and it makes this really beautiful pattern. It looks almost like sand. And
yeah, the fossil. And I think that was the one. Yeah.
So excited. That was one of the times when we all fell in love with that tile. It's porcelain, which is a good solution for this project in a large format. So it had a really soft look. And that was one of the times when the contractor said, oh, we can't get that tile in time. And I said, I'm laying myself down and tying myself to the front door. This project will not open without this tile. We'll just do concrete until it shows up. I mean, I had to go on like bananas with the client to make sure we got it. And Gary trusts me. So he's like, okay, fine. What is this tile? And I showed it to him. I mean, it's one of a kind. You cannot replace it. And so we got it, which
Ron, look what they're doing to get
lay down my life.
Oh my God.
It's great. It's great to be challenged, and it's great to find things that allow architects and designers to do their thing, right? I mean, that's the satisfaction for us, or for me personally. But for us as a company, you bring products, here's what we think are the best things, and do what you want with it.
Well, clearly Jennifer thought that was the best and only thing. And she's lucky because she also had a developer. He really loves design, and he was such an advocate, which is fantastic. Shamir, I wanted to mention one more project before we get to the new product, and it's 10,000 Santa Monica, which was an absolutely incredible residential development project, right?
It was a really great, fun project to work on, and it was an interesting thing for us, Cindy, because we were called on to do only the public spaces on that project and not any of the actual apartment interiors themselves, which were handled by the base building architect. So it was really an interesting exploration for us, working in Los Angeles with a lot of indoor-outdoor spaces, and allowed for some really great, interesting exploration of new materials that we hadn't necessarily worked with before. It was also a project where we combined, porcelains with natural stones, and something that we hadn't done before. And we found that in the public spaces for that project, where we did have this indoor-outdoor exchange, it was really nice to have the two materials working together, the technology has come such a long way, and they are indiscernible in so many ways. Now, we're not trying to fool anybody by using a product that is not stone and calling it a stone. But when you have the two to work with, I think it enhances the project a great deal. And also, I just think it's better for the environment.
And I think it was interesting. You were talking to me about the fact that, look, you love stone, but with everything that's going on right now, clients are worried about how things are staying germ-free and cleanable. And you said to me, you told me, some of your clients are asking for other things, and it actually pushes you as a designer as well.
It does. We're working on a house in San Francisco right now where our client didn't want to deal with the issue of putting a bottle of cosmetics down on a bathroom counter and having it bark. And we've, for the most part, had clients who are willing to deal with a little bit of maintenance to have the products that we're pushing and that they seem to sort of appreciate and like. But yeah, this has been a new experience for us, and we found really beautiful materials to work with that are going to work just fine in this instance. So it's a nice gear switch for us. And we're still, it'll be interesting to see the project done, but we probably use less natural stone on this house we're doing than on any other project we've ever done, and it'll be, an interesting sort of end product.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to the tile, I do want to mention, Jennifer, you were telling me, because we have to mention it, that you're finishing or just finished a mid-century modern hotel. There's got to be some cool stuff that's going to be in there, right?
That project is one of the ones where we have all kinds of natural stone, beautiful natural stone, because it's up in the trees with 10,000 oak trees around it. And it really explores all kinds of connection to the land and done through a really modern lens. So it's very cool.
I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Stone Source sent everybody some samples of a new tile. And I have to say that I feel like you guys, like as an editor, I get so excited to see a new product, and I get to cover it in the magazine and or online, but you guys get to specify it. So first of all, Ron, this is like a very interesting story because it speaks to what's going on right now. It speaks to clients and designers' needs to want something that's more sustainable and more wellness. And there was just such a lovely story behind this, if you could share that with us.
Yeah, I think it is a wonderful story. And we're in a category in most cases with porcelain tile and natural stone that kind of is a good product, no VOCs and those sort of things already, right? Kind of built in just because of what the product is, low embodied energy, which is definitely a buzzword in the last year or so. And this product, La Pietra Compactada, I actually met them on the last day of my last trip, February of 2020. Before, like 3 weeks later, we were all done traveling. And it was a great story that I thought to myself, I just didn't get to see enough. But the Zaccarini family, basically the father had this business where he was just making pavers. So they produce in the Modena region, which is the heart of the ceramic tile industry. But when he started the business, he was like, I don't want to make a porcelain tile, right? I'm interested in green. I can do recycled products. I don't need to have a factory. He stares at the waste and exhaust, in the town. So really for him, even in the beginning, it was really important to him to kind of be one with nature, and that's kind of his MO.
Yeah.
But they were making very basic pavers,
right?
But they use ground porphyry, quartz, and granite, and they basically press the product, so it's not fired, right? So that's kind of the cool story, and that would obviously really interested me, because we always look for sustainable products, and in many cases when you find them, if we're being honest, they're not that attractive. And so this obviously had this abundance of colors, the sustainable story. On top of it, his two children, Federico and Francesca, basically kind of took the company along and got into all these colors and doing more sizes and shapes and making mosaics and kind of moving it forward. But they all also, in the same vein as the father, I mean, their comments to me is like, we have to exist in harmony with nature,
Right.
but not just nature, each other.
Right.
And so they really impressed me. And again, it was a short meeting, but that's kind of how we jumped off, and it's taken a year to obviously get to this point where we're going to launch the product. So.
But I love the whole story, right? So the family, and then the next generation is looking for different kind of answers, and are pushing in a new way. I have a piece right here. So the La Pietra con Patata is compressed, right? Compressed stone.
Yep,
So
compatata. Yep.
I also like that it's made out of stone, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think that's the interesting part about the material in the end. It is stone, right? So it's not some components to make it look a certain way or make it look like something else. I mean, it looks like stone. Obviously, I think some of the comments we heard, it kind of looked like maybe like a masonry or block form and that sort of thing. But I think with the textures available, it's a stone.
Yeah.
By all means, it's a stone.
Yeah. Okay. Well. First of all, I want Jennifer's and Shamir's reaction. But Shamir, you had like a million questions, which I love, because he's like, okay, I need to know this and this and this. So why don't you ask Ron some questions?
Cindy, I want to start by saying something that you touched on with Ron already, which is that one of the things that is so appealing about this product to me, and having been to a stone yard, to a stone fabrication factory in Italy, and watched how much waste there is with stone, one of the great things about this product is that they are using the waste byproduct, the stone, to make this material, and it's beautiful just in that there's up to 60% recycled stone in the material. It is not fired; it's formed so that there's no heat used to make the stuff. So it's low energy in production, and it's good for indoor and outdoor use, which is great. I think the material is really beautiful. It looks like precast or concrete. The stuff that I'm really drawn to. And the textural surfaces are really beautiful. So my questions, I guess, were for this product. Ron, is this usable? I know it's usable for floors and walls, and is it intended to be mud set, or can it go on pedestals like traditional pavers?
Good question. And firstly, thank you for the talk on the material. That was very well done. Thank you. But yes, it could go in pedestals. Obviously, the largest unit that we use, you'd have to figure out your pedestal design, right? Because obviously smaller pavers equals more pedestals. And so you kind of, wind up with maybe a more expensive job that needs to. But their intention, or how it's been installed, is it's installed like natural stone. So it's either in a mud bed. The interior product obviously can be thin set, but more likely a medium bed because of the thickness, right? The product is 15 millimeter or 22 millimeter for the outside. And then for just outdoor paving, typical like stone dust, right? That it would just be compacted into the earth, or you can put it on your lawn and have the grass grow between. So really no different than any stone that you might do in the same type of scenario.
Ron, there was also, Shamir also had another, I thought this was a really good question on the finish, because Shamir, I know that you like smooth finishes. So, and this is definitely textural. So tell us about the two finishes.
They have what they call a tumbled finish, or consolare, where they actually take the physical pieces and put it in a tumbler. That is the biggest product for them for exterior. So it kind of has an already worn appearance to it. The interior finish, what they just call natural, is smooth to the touch compared to the tumbled. And then they do make a product that's called Lapata, which is, it's not like a true polish like a stone would be, but it is available. But it's funny, it does flatten the surface a little bit more, but it's the one that they barely sell. So I guess we'll in the end we'll find out what really works. So those are the three finishes. We're, I guess, betting on the tumbled and the natural finish for the get-go, and the sample boxes reflect that at this time.
Jennifer, when you look at new products, you're always thinking about like how, I imagine, how a multitude of people might be experiencing or walking on something, or durability. So when you were looking at this, when you got the package, like what were you thinking about?
Well, I knew instantly it was going to be a huge hit with our team. And I brought it out to the library yesterday. We had, I'd say, almost everybody in the office. Probably going to have at least 2 boxes because it just disappeared instantly and into everybody's pallet board. So it's just filling a need. And, you know, speaking to that wellness thing, we have been asked to do so many outdoor environments that feel like indoor environments, that carry that layering and color. There's really not that much product out there that is suitable for, you know, how many times can you use encaustic tile? So it's not always the right look. And we're very excited about the color range here, because while you've got a lot of great neutrals, you also have really rich color palettes. And I think that the that seamless kind of transition between indoor and outdoor, by being able to use the indoor and the outdoor product in the same colorway, is going to be really exciting to explore. You know, on the West Coast, we totally have the ability to do that almost all year round. And so exploring that now has become even more important to hotels as they kind of try to turn outward. Even ballrooms and, you know, restaurants and everything want to be really accessible and connected to the outdoors. So we're excited about that. And I love the kind of aged patina with the texture, the fact that it has that almost lived in look, which is good for hospitality because it gets that very quickly, even if you don't intend it. And so to start with it and start with that kind of earthy layering is great. The sustainability story, we have many projects that mandate using sustainable materials. And as you say, it's been a pretty much bare bones selection of really exciting materiality on that front. So we're excited to have something so vibrant and, you know.
Shamir, I want to know your, I mean, I know your color palette, but tell us a couple that you like. I know that the range is 24, but you lean more to earth, right?
More to earth. And it's really interesting to hear the other side of this. You know, Jennifer's really interested in using this sort of wide color palette. And Cindy, I have my 5 sort of favorites here, and you can see this very broad range.
You can send me the other ones, Shamir.
We may, you know, since you're looking for doubles, we'll just send you the rest of the box.
Exactly.
But this stuff is so beautiful. And like Jennifer said, you know, the idea that you can actually put this stuff indoors and carry the same material outdoors, that's unusual. And it's really, it's something that we're going to, you know, is very appealing. But all the different textural surfaces within the same color that you can, you know, sort of play with is going to make this. I think this product is going to do really well. The one question I had for Ron also is this material going to be available in slab, or is it?
I was going to ask the same thing.
Tile material? And also, what about the edges? Can the edges be finished? How's that work?
I love all the questions. More.
They need, yeah.
As far as slabs go, at this point, they cannot do it because of because it's compacted, right? So the biggest size at this point, I think, is 13 by 27 inches. They have tested, and I kind of pushed them as well. That was one of my first questions. You know, how big a slab? So even if we can get to a vanity size slab, that would be a good thing. I think that potentially comes. I don't know that they may have to use different product as the binder, which they don't want to, you know, kind of go to. They want this 60% recycled content. And then as far as the edges go, yes, they have pool copings. You can do stair treads where you can do the nosing. In the end, it's a stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not a problem to do that, Shamir.
Great.
Well, maybe they'll figure out, like, you know, what's so great also is that like this is just happening, right? Like it's like right now. I'm sure they'll find some more eco-friendly solutions for bigger sizes in the future, or we'll try to. It's so interesting to hear what you're saying, as in like they don't want to add the binder, they want to keep it as intended, which is fantastic. I think behind you, Ron, are the colors, right, for everyone,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes, can you? We brought those in. Oh, those are always in my office these days. But yeah, we have the color palettes on the left. We have hexagons. They have the brick shapes, which you can do obviously herringbone patterns and things like that. They did make some small mosaics, which we're showing in some of the showrooms, like little circles or penny rounds, I guess would be the terminology. So again, I think with the infusion of the young family here of moving in that direction, they just again see it to be used everywhere. So you want to put it in your shower, put it in the shower. If it wants to be an exterior pool, do that. So very, very exciting. And again, I think we found a product that checks the boxes: sustainability, wellness, but also good design that we can give to people like Jennifer and Shamir to go ahead and make something special, which is what we're about.
Yes. Well, first of all, Ron, I want to thank you. It was an amazing, I remember when you were telling me this story, we were on Zoom and I thought, wow, this is an amazing story and so relevant about what's happening in the future. All the needs from our community that are talking about how can we be more sustainable, more kind to the earth? How can we be good to each other in terms of wellness? And having such amazing feedback from these heavy hitters who are here today, such good friends of interior design, of the industry, and of Stone Source. So Jennifer Johansson from EDG, love you so much. Thank you. And I can't wait to see some of these new projects you're photographing. And Shamir Shah of Shamir Shah, my very, very dear friend. I know you're going to use the gold too, right? That gold in that like harvest golden color. That'll be really nice.
Yeah, it's a great range, and I'm actually looking forward to like trying this. After I finish this interview with you, I'm going to walk out to the bathroom and wet this stuff and see what happens to it. But I think it's going to do great.
Designers always thinking about how to use the product, which is what we love. So big shout out to all of you. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you in person very soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.